The case as investigators launch a new search for the 11-month-old girl who disappeared from her crib in the middle of the night. I'm Vinny Politan, and this is HLN Special Report. Breaking news as investigators now searching a lake just a short drive from baby Lisa's home. It's the same area that investigators searched 2 weeks ago. What does this all mean? You know, we're trying to put this all together for you, where this is taking place, where everything else has happened in this area of Kansas City. I want to show you on the map where baby Lisa's home is so you get some perspective of where all this is taking place. Okay, here's baby Lisa's neighborhood. You know it well, right? We've seen it many times, all these houses. You go to the northwest, that's the lake in the area they're looking at. You can see there's a highway here, big intersection in town. But the question I have, how far of a distance is it from Shamir Woods Park to baby Lisa's home? Well, let's pull back and take a look. From here to here, it is less than 2 miles away, less than 2 miles from her neighborhood. Now, the next question is, we've had all these sightings of men with white T-shirts, surveillance video. Where is that in relation to all this? Well, the first sighting of baby Lisa was here right in her neighborhood. This is where that surveillance video came from the gas station. And then over here is that man on the motorcycle who saw someone at 4 a.m. Now, as you can see, that's not exactly in the same area as where this lake is being searched today. So is there any significance to this area? What's near this lake? I'll tell you what's there. Festival Food Market. Do you remember Festival Food Market? That's the place where baby Lisa's mom was seen the day that baby Lisa went missing. That was the day. Oh, I dropped something, folks. Let me pick it up here. 1 second. I can't hear anything. Here we go. Back in shape here. I'm moving all over the studio tonight for you folks. Now, here's the thing. Baby Lisa was seen, not baby Lisa, baby Lisa's mom was seen in Festival Food Market the night that she went missing, buying that box of wine with her relative who was not wearing a white T-shirt. All right, so what does this all mean? What's the latest? Let's bring in our guests. We've got with us tonight Jim Spellman, CNN correspondent. He's in Kansas City, Missouri. Gene Casares, correspondent for In Session on True TV, joins us from L.A. Mike Brooks, HLN law enforcement analyst, with me here in studio. And Darren Kavanoki, criminal defense attorney, also in L.A. Okay, let's begin with Jim. Let me go out to Kansas City. And Jim, what's happening tonight? The search of this lake area, it's been searched before, though, not the lake itself, but that area, correct?
Absolutely, Vinny. This time they wanted to add more resources, these cadaver dogs. They're cross-trained. Their trainers tell me to smell human remains or live humans, and they say they can even detect a body that's in water. So they had one of the dogs, Lacey, out on a boat, an inflatable boat that the fire department was manning. They went throughout that lake. She didn't get any hits on that. They had 2 other dogs on the land and the park around it, searching that area. They didn't get any hits either, but they really wanted to be sure that they're broadening the search and hitting any area that possibly might lead to new clues.
And Jim, we're talking about any connection between this area and anything that we know. The only connection we could figure out is that it's very close to Festival Foods.
It's close to Festival Foods, and there's basically 2 ways to leave this area and head towards the freeway. The route you were talking about, where there were these sightings of someone in a white shirt, and the other direction, this direction. And we know that all the major landmarks, parks, abandoned homes along this route to the Festival Food site, this pond, and the freeway exit, everything has been searched along that route as well. So it sort of follows the other searches towards the highway to get on I-35 right there.
All right, Mike Brooks, how about those canine units out there?
Yeah, I was just looking, Vinny. What they can do, the one in the dog, we heard Jim say that Lacey, one of the canine dogs, was there. As a body decomposes, gases are given off from the body, Vinny, and they come to the surface and they burst like a bubble when they reach the surface. And that's how the dog can pick up any smell of human decomposition. So they are very good both on land and in the water. That's why that dog was out on that boat.
Gene Casares, we know there's the friction between the family and law enforcement, and you're getting different stories, whoever you talk to there. But what this tells me is that this investigation is not merely focused on the house, not merely focused on the parents here. Investigators are looking everywhere and following all leads.
And you know what else this shows, Vinny? This is a homicide investigation, and I think this search right here conclusively shows that it may be a missing persons investigation, and all the searches on land could be for a missing person, but when you search a lake, it is a homicide investigation. All right,
Darren Kavanoki, criminal defense attorney. I want to read for you the statement released by the family attorney, the attorney for the parents of baby Lisa. She says, the last few weeks have been exhausting to everyone working on behalf of the Irwin family. It has exhausted Lisa's parents and her friends and family. Therefore, the consensus is we all need a rest. All appointments in Kansas City today and tomorrow are being postponed until next week. There was supposed to be some sort of meeting with the media to perhaps answer questions, give a statement. Darren, what do you think about this and the way this family is handling this situation? Because I get a slight sense here that they're being defensive. And I understand that when people accuse you of murder, you can be defensive, but they're also in the shoes of parents of a missing child here.
Right, and that's exactly the tension. I'm just awestruck, though, Vinny, that you would be suspicious or think somebody's being defensive. I perish the thought.
I'm following all leads, Darren.
Yes, but obviously, all quips aside, it's a serious case. On the one hand, people would reasonably say, what are the parents hiding, or why aren't they being forthright? Why wouldn't they be right out there giving interviews to everybody all the time? On the other hand, very capable investigators, very capable prosecutors can even make innocent folks look guilty. So obviously, there'd be some concern, or there would be a need to do things in a tactically wise manner. And you know what? People may just be plain old fatigued. That's a legitimate thing in this kind of an awful situation.
Hey, Jim, has anything changed out there? I understand the fatigue and everything else, but this is, I keep coming back to this point, but I'm wondering, has the family, anyone associated with the family, any group, done any of their own independent searches? I mean, law enforcement can do just so much. They have tons and tons of cases, but these parents only have one missing baby.
No, we haven't seen any of those searches. And, you know, from this team that they've assembled of attorneys, both from New York and here locally, I haven't seen anyone calling for anything like that. I'm sure people here in this neighborhood would be happy to participate, but there hasn't been that kind of leadership coming from the family or any of their attorneys to get something like that started.
Gene Casares, and it doesn't mean guilt. It doesn't mean, you know, it's not proof of anything. I still don't understand that, Gene. I don't understand not using every ounce of your energy to organize. And it doesn't have to be the parents themselves. They could be too distraught. You have a cousin, a good friend, someone out there rallying this neighborhood, because these are good people in Missouri.
It defies common sense, and what prosecutors can do with this later on is to bring it before a jury to show consciousness of guilt.
Yeah, Mike Brooks, it's frustrating, Mike. It's frustrating that there's not this ongoing, relentless search. I mean, we're at weeks now, Mike, and we're still not seeing it.
I know, Vinny, and we cover these cases all the time. And what do we always talk about? We talk about the parents and the relatives who are out there always wanting to keep their baby's picture in front of the media, in front of the public, to get out the information. We're not seeing any of that.
Mike, you know what struck me was Cindy Anthony in the search for her granddaughter, which she had nothing to do with, was being vilified in the media and by people. She didn't care. She kept that search out there. She kept doing what she had to do. And that struck me from the beginning of that case, as this is a grandmother who is absolutely desperate to find her granddaughter. I'm not seeing that in Missouri. All right, more tonight on the new search for baby Lisa at a lake right next to the grocery store where baby Lisa's mom, Deborah Bradley, was caught on surveillance just hours before baby Lisa vanished.
They pretty much asked me, you know, if she was depressed, you know, if she seemed depressed, how she acted around the baby, you know, if she, you know, seemed stressed out. Pretty much, you know, questions that, you know, I would know, you know, because she would talk to me a lot.
Including Lacey, are trained to find human scent in whatever environment, you know, whether it's in a collapsed building, in a flood situation, in a fire. lost in the woods.
And what was Lacey out doing today?
She was out just doing, I can't really talk a whole lot about it other than she was out checking the lake.
Investigators not necessarily saying much about today's search, but there is a search. Again, this area is about a little less than 2 miles from baby Lisa's home, and it's in an area that is very close to Festival Foods, where that surveillance video of baby Lisa's mom, the night that she went missing, was buying the box of wine with her brother. Welcome back, folks. Why don't we, and I'm wondering, Mike Brooks, you know, is this a significant area? I guess it is, what Jim said, for 2 reasons. Right. It's near a major highway, but it's also near Festival Foods. I want you to listen to Rebecca Guerrero. She's the clerk at Festival Foods, who knows baby Lisa's mom, and knows baby Lisa, has seen him in the store before and saw her that night. Take a listen.
They had a box of wine, some baby wipes, and baby food. Now, she did 2 separate purchases. She did the baby stuff first, and then the box of wine. Was she acting strange in any kind of way? She had a smile on her face. I mean, like she always does when she comes in here. She, you know, loves her kids to death. You know, I always ask her how the kids are doing. You know, she tells me they're great, you know, so. Did you think it was strange that she was with this other person? No, because they normally are, you know, around each other a lot.
And again, Mike, there's nothing out of the ordinary for this mom, right? She's having a normal day. I mean, the one thing is the kids sometimes, I guess, go to the store with her. They didn't go to the store with her at this point, but Dad could have been home watching them as well.
And there was a babysitter, apparently, who lives next door that she was drinking wine with. That is apparently who was watching the baby while she and her brother were at the store buying the baby wipes and the box of wine. And then apparently a little bit later on, you know, we heard that allegedly that the neighbor was there drinking some wine with her on the front stoop. And that's when the whole 10:30 time frame came as opposed to 6:40. What was the real time? Who knows?
Jim Spellman, it seems that neighbor is crucial for investigators in trying to get another account of what was happening that night. Here's the question a lot of people are asking, Jim, and I don't know if we have the answer. I'm sure investigators probably do. But who is the last person outside of the family to actually see baby Lisa, and when and where did they see baby Lisa?
Yeah, it's a great question. We don't know, but her changing the last time she saw, the mother changing the last time she saw baby Lisa when she changed her story from 10:30 to 6:40 opens up a lot more possibilities because the neighbor was still in the picture. There's other people around, but we just don't know. And that neighbor refuses to speak to media. She's a big no trespassing sign in her front lawn, but we have seen police dogs in her house. And the day of the large search here that went on all day last Wednesday, she came out to speak with investigators several times. We know she's known to investigators. We don't have those details, though.
Hey, Jim.
But there's another issue.
Go ahead, Darren.
Yeah, there's another issue regarding the changing of the timeline, and if there are criminal charges brought, just as Gene so adeptly pointed out earlier, that any failure to participate in an investigation can be trumpeted by the prosecution as consciousness of guilt. Certainly any kind of misdirections or these kinds of fundamental alterations in a timeline, that's something that you can also expect to be brought up as, in the court of public opinion, it just doesn't play well when you've got a missing child. You think if ever there was a circumstance where you'd expect parents to be forthright, accurate, an open book with law enforcement, that would be the time.
Jim, I wanted to ask you, and this is giving a lot of people flashbacks to Kaylee Marie Anthony when she went missing. And I recall, I mean, there were searches going on in all different places, at this park, over here, over there, and it turns out her remains were found in the wooded area closest to her home. How thorough have the searches been in the wooded areas that are closest? I mean, like right down the street, just behind the house from baby Lisa's home.
Very thorough. Local police, FBI, and even the National Guard are out searching that wooded area that's very close to her house every day. Even walking through there today, we would find FBI, these small flags that they place on areas that they come back to and focus on. They were in there for many hours, but that woods goes on and on for quite a while. It is really a huge area. When you get in there, it's very dense. So as far as really combing every inch. We know they were in there. I just don't know how possible it is that's, say, a mile wide and, you know, half a mile long or something. It's just
the Casey Anthony trial, and then at trial everything looked one way. You know, the defense making it look like they went after Casey from the beginning when law enforcement showed up for a missing child and a search and trying to get information. I'm getting some of that same stuff here where law enforcement is there because there's a missing child. Their job and their goal is to find out where that child is, what happened to that child. And when, you know, it shouldn't be adversarial, right? It shouldn't be adversarial between the parents and law enforcement if the parents are 100% completely innocent.
No, but let's go back to Casey Anthony again, because we learned from this case. George and Cindy, just as you're saying, out there talking to everybody. Casey Anthony, she was free on bail for quite a while. She never helped to try to find the search for her child. So there you have that, and was used by prosecutors in the case. But Vinny, what about this call that was made in the middle of the night with one of these cell phones that was stolen? Was it about 2 o'clock in the morning? And where does that coincide with the timeline with the man, two men, maybe the same man, carrying a baby with just diapers on throughout the town?
Unbelievable. And here's the difficulty with this case is, and police are doing what they're supposed to do. They're doing their investigation, not releasing every piece of information that they have. We're trying to put it together from the outside going in. But we're going to continue this discussion. Where is baby Lisa? What happened to baby Lisa?
We heard noises, but I don't know if that was before we went to sleep or after. I have not sat down and talked to them about it, specifically to not have to put them through anything else.
That was baby Lisa's mom, Deborah Bradley, on NBC's Today Show last week. Tomorrow, Lisa's half-brothers are supposed to talk to a child specialist investigator about the night that Lisa vanished. But is that still going to happen? You know, the family abruptly canceled all appearances in front of the media today, and I'm wondering if that's canceled as well. Jim Spellman is in Kansas City. Jim, do we think that is still going forward, that the two brothers are going to speak with a specialist and try to get some more information about what they may have seen or heard that night?
Absolutely. That's still scheduled, that interview with these specially trained social workers, not with police. That is still scheduled tomorrow. But, Vinny, you know, like you said, they canceled this today. There's been so much sort of confusion from them that when it happens, I think that's the only time we'll be able to be certain that it's going to happen.
Darren Kavanaugh, what do you think about mom saying, I haven't even spoken to them about it? I mean, I understand she's not an investigator, she's not specially trained, but she's a mom with a missing baby. Yeah. Would you want to ask your 6- and 8-year-old, did you hear anything? Did you see anything?
Yeah, frankly, that one's troubling for me to hear. It's just one of those things that doesn't exactly pass the smell test. At some point, outsiders looking in say, well, is this reasonable? It seems highly unusual to me that a mom would not want to get every scrap of information from any source that she could, including the other kids in the house. It just makes sense. But one thing, and I suspect that this interview scheduled for tomorrow is, in fact, not going to go forward. I'm always skeptical, though. It's a very dicey proposition when you're interviewing child witnesses. Even in these non-confrontational, non-police interrogation type settings, kids are easily influenced, and there's many reported cases of that happening. So there may be good, legitimate reasons to hold off on that. But, man, you start to string a few of these things together, and it just doesn't vibe as being right.
And Gene, that's what concerns me. I understand a parent, and I certainly understand a parent not wanting to subject their child to some strangers questioning, but a mom speaking with her, you know, 2 young sons and sending them down in a way that only a mom can talk to a child.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I mean, and this makes me think about Haley Cummings' case, because Haley Cummings' brother was in that house. He was spoken to, I don't think by the stepmother, but by the grandmothers. He was talked to, and there was information that they gave to law enforcement.
All right. Still a lot of questions here tonight. I want to thank all our guests. Jim, I want to thank you for your great reporting throughout in this story, and we'll check back in with you a little bit later. But again, the search for baby